The government's paving the way for that to happen after committing to regulating e-scooters, which are currently banned in public areas if they're not rented from one of those legal rental schemes. They're often used illegally, as I'm sure you will be aware, but you may have seen some whipping past you, right past your ears, and you may have thought, my gosh, this is really dangerous. Encouraging their use, according to the government, will kickstart economic growth, although I'm not exactly sure how or why they think that. Maybe you can explain that to me. There's been no specific announcement made so far, but e-scooter critics have concerns about their safety. According to the Department of Transport, 6 e-scooter users were killed in crashes in England in 2023. A further 416 people were seriously injured, including 52 pedestrians. So would you be worried about e-scooters being less let loose on our roads, more of them on a road near you? Do get in touch and let me know. I'm going to start with Cristo on this. I know this is something he feels very, very passionate about.
I hate them. I absolutely loathe e-scooters. I can't understand how the government says that they want to regulate more of them when they can't even regulate the way in which they are ridden now. As you rightly pointed out, they are allowed to be used if they are hired via a borough. Well, and they have to be 12.5 miles per hour. Well, I'm sorry, but how many have you seen that are not the ones that are being hired, that are whizzing along so fast, they're doing way more than 12.5 miles per hour? I do not fear cars and motor vehicles the way I fear e-scooters and e-bikes. And that's aside as well from the antisocial way in which they're just dumped right, left and centre, either on the pavements or in the little bays. They're not put up nicely and straight, they're just left everywhere. So I think that they are dangerous. I think that they are antisocial. I do not think we need more of them. And I think they actually lead to more people being antisocial on our roads, cyclists and others, because they look at them and think, well, it's all lawless. Why do I need to follow rules?
And do you get it when the government says they're kind of broadly in favour of this because they think it will give the economy an injection of something or other? How do more e-scooters on the road do the economy a favour? Can you work that one out?
I've absolutely no idea.
I'm absolutely
if I was the government,
by that one. I just don't get it. What do they do for the economy?
There are many other things I would be doing if I was the government, which we probably don't have time to get into now, to make the economy better. Yeah. And I don't think it's got anything to do with e-scooters. I do suspect, though, this is a part of, more e-scooters make drivers' lives difficult, and we like doing that.
I don't think the government want to make drivers' lives more difficult. I think we need more methods of public transport, more methods of last mile travel, right? Where you're going from train station to home, or local travel that's good for the environment. And I think e-scooters is one of those things. I think by having them better regulated, then you make sure that you don't have, the modified ones with the crazy big engines of them that make them go more than 12.5 miles per hour. You can make sure that people wear helmets. You can make sure they're properly rented, that they aren't modified. You can control them more. And I think that's better. So you don't have the ones that can cause accidents and things like that. And I think if you have more alternatives for, like I said, last mile travel and local travel that are good for the environment, e-scooters can really feed into that.
All right, what we haven't mentioned, Nicky, we're talking about more e-scooters on the roads, is the scourge of e-scooters on the pavements. And maybe I'm getting on a bit or something, but suddenly I'm thinking, God, that was terribly dangerous. It was uncomfortably close to my face as this person came whirling around the corner. What's more, you can't hear them, so you don't know when it's going to come whizzing right in your path. And you think, God, I'm going to get knocked over. I don't fancy being knocked over by some rogue e-scooter on the pavement, not one bit.
Absolutely. I think they're a complete liability. And it doesn't matter how much regulation you put around these things. It's all about the people driving or riding these scooters. That's such an issue. And I think it's just, living in London, it's a total nightmare already with the e-bikes everywhere. And I have been pushing a pram on a pavement only for an e-scooter to come around a corner and almost be pushed into the road with it. I think, do we need more chaos on our streets? It just feels like something that could potentially be really out of control. And the ones that do own e-scooters are completely crazy on them, whizzing up areas that are pedestrian-free.
And the wrong way out one-way streets.
Absolutely.
And if you try and look annoyed, they're like, hey, mate, it's an e-scooter. Like, that gives you a special...
I'm boosting the economy.
Oh my God, the indignant way in which they look at you, like if you try and point out,
dare you?
What, this is the pavement. I'd rather you not run me over. They are absolutely furious that you've even tried. But I think chaos is a really good word. It's chaos the way they're left, chaos the way they're used on pavements, chaos the way they go through red lights, and we don't need more of that chaos. If they were regulated
right,
properly
though,
now...
isn't she, when she talks about the environment? We cannot ignore that. That is a big factor here, isn't it, in terms of the air that you breathe, in terms of the fuel that they use. I mean, in every way, it's an improvement on a car.
Yeah, definitely.
But you can get a bicycle.
It's also true. Let's go to David England Morgan. David, you seem to be a fan of e-scooters. Thanks so much for ringing.
I think it's a great idea to reduce. They don't take up the space of a car. They should reduce congestion. But as we panelists say, they shouldn't be on pavements. They should be on the road, and they should have the same qualifications as a car driver. They've got to be qualified. They've got to be identifiable, and they've got to be insured.
So you mean registration plates, and you mean driving tests, so e-scooter passing proficiency tests, all that kind of thing, so that they can't just disappear and nobody knows who it was that knocked you over.
Yeah, that's right. You know, the thing is that drivers are identifiable with their car registration number.
Yeah.
There are strict rules. They obey the rules of the road, and the riders of scooters must be answerable to the same conditions.
And I just want to check with David. Have you ever ridden one? Have you ever been on one, David?
No, I was a keen cyclist when I was young, but my knees won't let me balance on them now.
Knees won't let... You're just a martyr to your knees.
Okay, then.
Oh, lovely to hear from you, David. Thank you very much indeed. What did you want to say?
Well, David's absolutely right. If you have better regulation, you can make sure that, people perhaps have to do the test, that they're not ridden on the pavements. If you have better regulation from the government around these e-scooters, you can control all that. I think that's a good idea.
Let's talk to Ryan in Cheshire. Ryan, you feel that there needs to be tighter regulation before people are unleashed on the innocent pedestrian on these things.
Absolutely, and I also think that even with the basic cyclists, they have to go through a cycling proficiency test. Now, there's no word about these e-cyclists, whether they've to pass a driving licence test, which I'm all for. If they're going to go on a public road with drivers that have passed their driving test, they should also adhere to every single rule. The only difference between the car and that is wheels. They've got two wheels. They're approaching roundabouts, traffic lights, signs, etc., and so on. They should be fully insured, vetted, etc., and so on.
And tell me something, in Cheshire, are you seeing lots of them? Have people started complaining about them? Is anyone worried about them, or do you see them only rarely?
No, we see quite a lot of them everywhere, actually, in Cheshire. They weave in and out of cars, some knocking wing mirrors off cars. Yeah. They don't stop at traffic lights, straight through the traffic lights. You've got cars braking to avoid them when they're crossing these junctions. Not all of them, but many of them, and they're a danger. Absolute danger. And as I say, some of these e-cyclists could have lots and lots of court cases pending, So, yes, full driving licence.
OK, and one question. I don't know if you're an international economist. I know I'm not. But do you get the idea that the government's in favour of more e-scooters on the road because they think it'll be a fillip, a big injection into our economy? Can you work out how that would work?
Governments throughout the world, it's money, money-making projects, and that's what this is all about.
Be more people buying them? Is that what they think?
Yeah, or maybe I was wondering, is it people being able to get to their destinations potentially quicker because the roads are so congested? And the reason they're congested is because of policies they brought in to make roads congested. So maybe they're solving their own problem.
Or unless they have a rental scheme, kind of like they have, remember the Boris bikes, those bikes? Maybe they'll have some sort of rental scheme and that gives a boost to the economy.
Maybe. Let's go to Sylvia in Lancashire. Sylvia, are you keen on these?
I am not. No, I think they're dangerous. They should be taxed. They should be either taxed, legally taxed, everything.
And I think you're particularly concerned for people with disabilities, aren't you? Because it's...
Yeah. for people with disabilities, people that's blind. I mean, no, if they're going to make them, like the gentleman said before, they're trying to make money out of everybody. And there are a danger. Yes, they're a very good idea to add them to make them faster get deliveries. But some of them are not legalised, and they should be made legalised. Regarding a subject that doesn't apply to the subject of your programme, my Alan and I have mobility scooters. We have to have them public liability because we live in sheltered. If we'd have had our own place, we would have had them public liability. Every year we have them covered for my Alan scooter, my scooter, and we have them serviced every year. And when we go downtown, we don't go like Silly Billy, you know, like Bat Out of Hell, even though I did like Meatloaf himself. We always go slow. But there's many times, there's lots of people walking the flipping roads, answering their phone and not watching where they're going. And I've really had to do an emergency brake on those.
Oh, I'd love to see you do that. I shouldn't probably say that, Sylvia, but I would love to see you doing an emergency brake just to see how you do it. Thank you so much. What a different perspective on the whole thing. Yeah. Terrific. Let's go to Mark in London. Hello, Mark.
Hi there.
Hi. What do you think of these? Do we need more e-bikes on the roads?
Well, to be honest with you, I live in central London, so I live in Pimlico, and I watched these bikes go by. The higher ones, fine, they're not modified. But I can assure you that all the private ones I see have been modified. They're travelling at 35, 40 miles an hour. They pass cars on the street, and they use the pedestrian crossings to avoid the traffic. And they constantly go up on pavements. Now, I'm a carer for my dad. I push him around in a wheelchair, and I'm constantly having to watch out for these people. The problem is that they don't care. And they do think if you say, hold on a minute, mate, this is a pavement, they're like, and?
I must agree. I don't know whether what we're concluding here, Mark, is that people who ride these e-scooters are a particular personality type. You know, a kind of entitled, kind of, I'm doing this excellent thing for the environment, therefore you better not approach me, don't question me, because that is exactly what I've experienced, the same kind of sort of entitled use of pavements and
well, I think it's confusing, isn't it?
Behaviour.
Because it's not a motorbike and it's not a bicycle, and so people aren't thinking of it in those remits and what you would do on those types of vehicles.
But they go as fast as those. They go as fast as them, which is unbelievable. It's sort of, not all of them, but it's like this piousness of I'm doing so well, so therefore how dare you question that I've nearly thrown you off the pavement and thrown you off your feet because I am, this amazing person on an e-scooter.
And that's why I keep saying if the government brings in better regulation, and you can have punishments for people that do that.
They're not doing that now
because they're not as regulated as they are. And yes, I do agree the government and councils are overstretched to the max. But if the government wants to, have more e-scooters, have stations where you can pick them up, then you have to have this better regulation, or else you're going to have more accidents, you're going to have more deaths, and that's what people want to avoid.
Right. Well, I'd like to apologise to you if you are a delightful e-scooter rider with a charming personality and impeccable manners. I just haven't seen you yet, but when I do say hello.